Welcome back to the Creating Character Podcast. My name is James Willems, and I always try and be a little bit controlled in these intros because I feel like we have genuine things that we want to share about the process that we've gone through, myself and my co-host, who I'm going to introduce in a second, about where we've come, the strange careers we've had, and the things we have yet to do, and the places we're going to go, and talking about the cross-section of those things and how we came to get into those places and the processes that were required to reach those things. But it always goes off the rails. So I'm going to very gently hand it over to my co-host, Scorpio Sky.
Camp Anawana,
Oh
we
my
hold
God.
you in our hearts.
Wow.
We're just doing
Wow.
songs. We're just
Holy
songs, guys.
cow. Salute your shorts.
Yeah.
It's a great show, though.
And when I think about you,
It makes me want to fart.
All right.
It's I hope we never part. Now get it right and pay the price.
There's
Now-
probably some Gen Zs watching like, what the hell are they talking about? Camp Anawana.
They missed out.
Sounds
Man,
like something you get at a dispensary.
actually,
Hey, man, how much is the Camp Anawana?
holy cow. Do you realize how much money would be made if we named strains of stuff after Nickelodeon shows?
That'd be dope.
Like
Double
everything.
Dare.
Double Dare, Global Guts,
Yeah.
Salute Your Shorts.
Oh, yeah.
Hey Dude.
Hey, dude. Yeah.
Man.
Remember Doug, too? That was a good
Yeah,
one.
I know all this stuff.
The-
I was
the-
watching Snick.
the
I was there
beats.
for the first Snick.
Me too.
Snick.
Wow. Okay.
Ah,
well,
man. Old shows, man. This old show segment. Let's go.
I'll
Hang
talk
time,
about. Don't
California Dreams.
California.
Oh, now
Surf
we're talking.
dudes with attitude. I
Kinda
loved
groovy.
that show.
I remember at the time thinking that it was a sad Saved by the Bell knockoff, so I didn't really get into it.
Feel
But
you.
I still watched
No,
it.
I feel you. Yeah, yeah. Did you watch Hang Time? Was that show?
Yeah.
I didn't watch Hang
Oh, we
Time.
haven't introduced Eric yet.
Don't worry
Oh,
about
hi. Hi, I'm Eric Bajor. I'm the producer of the show, and I watched Hang Time.
it. Eric, toss us a Nickelodeon television show from the 90s that we haven't
you
mentioned
can go
yet.
with All That, which was
Oh,
I think
yeah,
was
All
a
That.
seminal TV show for our
Another good
generation.
strain
And
name.
Kenan
Yeah, All That.
Thompson.
Yeah.
Kenan Thompson still on SNL,
Yeah.
I think.
Longest running cast member. I believe.
Wow,
Crazy.
is that so?
And he's so funny.
He
Do you
is.
watch
Yep.
SNL? I watch it pretty
One
regularly
of my,
still.
I actually know Chloe Feynman.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I did a
that's
thing
great.
with her like years ago,
She's
and
awesome.
we kept in touch. Well, not really, but a little bit.
Yeah. Is this like when you had a
That one
3-second
conversation with Jeannie Buss? Yeah. No, it's one of those things like you keep in touch through an
Yeah.
occasional like reply to a story.
for sure,
Or,
yeah,
or like,
yeah.
hey, friends on social media, but she's hilarious too. And
Yeah.
so it's really good to see her so successful.
Yeah,
you
she's
know?
great.
So yeah.
She's great. But anyway, All That. great pull with the All That. I never liked All That because
What?
I didn't want to be a kid when I was a kid. I enjoyed being a kid, but I never aspired to be children.
You wanted to be an adult?
I
or a
wanted to be an
teenager?
adult or a teenager.
I got
so
you.
like
I feel you. I was the same way.
Mighty Morphin Power Rangers and stuff like that.
Great
Remember
show.
when in Turbo they introduced the kid who he was the
Yeah.
new Blue Ranger. He was a kid. He was like the age of the audience, but when he became a Power Ranger, he'd grow up.
Okay, I didn't see any of that.
I did not want to be that kid at all. Had no
You're
interest.
just a kid.
I wanted to
Never-
be them at the juice bar, living their free lives.
Yeah.
I didn't want
Never
it.
Now, can I
aspired.
ask y'all something? Did you guys have lockers in high school?
Yeah,
No.
I did.
I didn't have a locker.
Really?
Yeah, and I was mad about it because I wanted a locker my whole childhood. I couldn't wait. Every TV show I watched, they had lockers.
What did you
Me too.
guys? How did
We didn't
you?
have shit.
You just had to
Let me-
carry everything for
We
the
just
whole day.
Carried it all.
Interesting.
Yep.
Yeah.
Let me ask, because James, you grew up in North Carolina, right?
Yep.
Was your high school indoor totally or
It
outdoor?
was a campus, so there were buildings. There was like buildings spread all over the place, and you're most likely to walk through like a courtyard to get from one building
That's
to the
how
next
mine
or
was
whatever.
as well.
Yeah, mine too. We were totally. It was like a completely outdoor big campus.
Yeah.
Is that
Never
just a
had been
TV
to.
thing? Indoor school?
No.
Did anybody go to
I
an
think
indoor
it depends
school?
on the
What?
climate
Yes.
more than anything.
Yeah, the rest of the country.
Yeah, I
They're
would say-
from
Oh, I guess
coasts.
that makes sense.
Anywhere
Yeah.
it's cold, they generally
makes
would
sense.
have
It makes-
an indoor
I'm just
school.
used to perfect weather. I'm sorry. I grew up out there.
What is weather?
I don't know how
Sound like California.
plebeians do with outdoor.
We had a group of kids who were, I would say, goth. They were like 90s
yeah, goth
goth,
kids,
right?
Mhm.
And they smoked They were also like the kids who would smoke at school, and they were kind of outcasts. Though I went to a cool school where everyone is kind of like down with everyone. I'm sure someone would be like, I was there. It was bad. But from my observation, most everyone was down to hang out with anyone at any time, and there weren't like cliques and stuff like that. But there was this group, and they were called the B-Wallers because building number B or whatever, building letter B would face the fields on this one wall,
and they hung out on that wall.
They would hang out on that wall so they could smoke there because it was unlikely that an administrator would see.
You could smoke at your high school?
No, they were. If they had smoked anywhere else, they would get caught and get in big trouble.
Oh, so that was their good. That was
their hiding spot, but they became known as B-Wallers.
The B-Wallers.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
You could smoke at my high school.
Really?
Really?
Yeah.
Which is like whatever.
Until probably, I think I was probably a sophomore. I mean, maybe it was like, I think the one year, like my freshman year, there was a smoking section where kids, children.
Yeah, I've heard about that. Smoking
cigarettes.
sections at school. Yeah, I've heard about that.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
That's why, like, every time we see these like renovations of schools, high schools, it just occurred to me the other day. I'm like, oh, they're probably doing stuff like getting rid of smoking sections from way back in the day, and we may not have even known they were smoking sections.
Yeah. Did you guys have a off-campus lunch? Were you allowed to leave, or were you stuck?
There were special days. Yeah, like if you were a senior. So if you're in your final year, you had certain privileges on certain days or whatever. But there was one story. I actually really loved my high school experience, and a lot of things happened that I thought if I wrote them down, people wouldn't believe that it was a thing. I was a good boy though. I didn't really screw around too much with delinquency or any of that or any of those things. But
I did.
You did? So I didn't like ditch, or I went to class and it was fine. But there was this one day where a bunch of students decided to get together and go to Bojangles instead of going to their first period class. And so a bunch of them went to Bojangles, and it would have been fine, except they called into a radio show and were like, "What's up, everybody? It's the senior class of our high school, and we're here, and we want you to play All Star by Smash Mouth." I don't know what song it was, but it was probably. And they basically and the principal was listening to the radio at the time and went, "Oh hell no." Like, if you're going to do this low key. And so then went to Bojangles, and then all these kids just got, and then it like ruined it for everyone.
That's like a 90s sitcom situation.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really is.
Between the B-Wallers and that, and the massive crazy cast of teachers that I had, like, there was.
High school is weird, man. And to what you were saying, like, there were times where I was good, but I was also kind of bad at times. And, you know, I don't know if you ever dealt with. I was a really skinny kid. I remember my freshman year of high school, I was getting bullied.
Okay.
by this senior.
Okay.
And it was like one of the only times in my life I can actually think I was getting bullied, and I didn't even know I was getting bullied until like this year. I was looking back at process. I'm just like, I was getting bullied. Didn't even realize that. And for whatever reason, he just hated me. He wanted to fight me. He was on the wrestling team, and he was like a senior. And he just did not like me. For whatever reason, he just hated me. And he was always like threatening to kick my ass. And so one day I realized, it's funny how you deal with things when you're a kid. I thought to myself, I was like, I'm probably going to have to fight this guy at some point. Okay. But he's a wrestler, so I should probably learn how to wrestle. So I joined the wrestling team.
Really?
With him. And I think, without knowing it, that defused the situation because he stopped messing with me after that. And I guess because I'm his teammate now. Yeah. You know, Andy graduated and I had my friend shoot him. But
yeah.
No, but
and I like the idea you just recently figured out that he was bullying you, which means that the hit order came last year. He must have been very surprised. He's like, "Who?" There's a guy standing in a dark room. He goes, "Who?" And then bang.
Scorpio Sky.
Yeah, Scorpio Sky sends his regards.
Scorpio Sky. Bang.
I don't know. I can't. That's too funny. Yeah. No, I didn't know I was getting bullied until like this year. That's interesting.
You just
F that guy.
telling
man.
your girl like a funny story from high school, and she's going, "Babe, he was bullying.
Yeah.
You. That wasn't your friend."
Yeah.
Traumatized. Yeah, I thought we were friends, man. But yeah, no, I joined this. Like I said, it's funny how that was my thinking. I was like, I'm gonna probably have to fight him, so I should learn how to wrestle. And but yeah, that defused the situation, and so I never had to fight him. And which is good because I would have kicked his ass, man.
Yeah. You think? Well, I was going to add to the fact that I was a pretty disciplined student in high school. Part of the reason was just fear of getting in trouble, but the other was I wrestled in high school.
Oh yeah,
And so there was a good like 5 months out of the year I just didn't have the energy to do it.
Yeah.
People were like, "We're going out tonight. You want to go?" I was like, "No,
It was tough.
I'm just gonna sit at home and look at food
It was
that I
tough,
want to eat."
yeah. Wrestling training is tough. Did you get into too many fights when you were a kid? Like not just high? No.
I've always been pretty. I don't like even keel. It's something that my parents have always said to me where I don't remember being bullied. But it would be the kind of thing where my parents would be like, "Yeah, you'd be at the playground and there'd be this kid and he'd be like agitating all the other kids and they're crying and you just be playing with your truck in the sand." Like he'd come over with a stick and he's like, "I'm going to hit you with a stick." And you would just go, "Hit me." And then you play with your truck in the sand. And we don't know why it just brushed off on you, but like you didn't care at all.
Good kid.
I guess. I don't know.
I got in a lot of fights.
Really?
Oh God.
So you say you were small. What weight class were you? What did you wrestle?
I never competed because I was a bad kid.
Oh, so you joined the team and then you never actually had a match?
I never actually wrestled.
Oh,
okay. I was a bad kid.
Oh, okay, okay.
They wouldn't allow me. They wouldn't allow me. But yeah, I think I was like 135 pounds when I was in my freshman year of high school or something like that. But I mean, even when I was like in elementary school or junior high, the neighborhood I lived in, whenever there was a problem with kids in that neighborhood, everyone would just get together and box. Like we'd put boxing gloves on. If you had a problem with someone 2 houses down, all the kids would get together, create a circle. You could put boxing gloves on, which was like I guess not a safe way of doing it, but it's better than shooting or stab because I mean that was definitely happening as well. So it was a safe way of doing it. But my big thing was doing wrestling moves on people in fights.
Oh,
because I perfect plex someone in a shoot fight once, like in 7th grade. Yeah, I like literally like we were like tussled up and like his leg was there, so I just kind of grabbed it.
Yeah.
One of my best friends later, who's just like, my favorite part is when you gave him the perfect plex.
Yeah.
And in my mind, that means I won. Like if I hit you with a wrestling move, I won.
Yeah.
Whatever happened, I won. So yeah, no, I used to get into a lot of fights back then, but I'm so much more calm now, I think.
Yeah. You got it out of your system.
Got it out of my system. Wrestling and mixed martial arts calms you.
There's a certain amount of like pent up something in I think most people, I'm going to generalize and say a lot of men in this country.
Maybe.
and so I'm not ascribing it to a genetic thing or whatever, but maybe a cultural thing, but there's something in a lot of men in this country that you need to get it out in a certain way. And finding a productive way to do it is the most viable option because otherwise it's going to come out in unproductive ways. For me, wrestling was because I loved wrestling. I loved working out, and I felt like these were a cross section of things. And also I wanted to participate. I didn't want to play other sports. I tried playing football in middle school and I hated it.
Wow.
And even though I loved playing Sandlot football, when I got on the team and it was so formalized, I was like, this is lame.
What is Sandlot football?
Just like going out to a field with friends.
Oh, okay.
And playing football as opposed
just hanging out with your friends.
Well, but like we would like it would be like 5-on-5, like.
Why is it called Sandlot football?
Sandlot is just like a general term for like playing it for fakesies.
It's not a California term.
No? What about the movie Sandlot? Have you ever seen the movie Sandlot?
Was that based in California?
Yeah, I think so.
Was it really?
I think so, right?
Was
Sandlot.
Sandlot based in
You guys
California?
both looked at me like I'm the Sandlot expert.
I don't know. I mean,
yeah.
you're our guy. You're supposed to know these things.
You should be Googling everything we
Yeah,
say.
you should Google. See, we don't want to spread misinformation. What do you think we are,
We
Joe
don't?
Rogan?
I thought that was this whole show. The
This
end
ain't
of
Rogan.
the movie takes place in Los Angeles, so it's probably
Yeah.
in
It was
California.
Yeah,
okay. I didn't realize that.
Benny Rodriguez or
I
whatever.
apologize, then I'm wrong.
So, anyway,
continue.
but
Yeah.
I just meant Sandlot in the sense that it's not an actual field.
Not organized.
It's just it's a sandy lot, and
Yeah.
you'd find space, and then so I loved playing football that way. But when I was on a team, I didn't dig it. But I wanted to do some sort of sport, and that's where I kind of landed on wrestling. And I think that was a really good way to get it out. But you talked about having these like neighborhood fights.
Yeah.
And my freshman year of college, the same thing happened where like a group of us found out that there's these tennis courts not too far from our dorm that had basically been abandoned. Like no one used them, and certainly no one was going to be looking around them after like 12:30 at night during
Fight
the week.
Club?
So we basically had a fight club.
Holy cow.
We got our hands on boxing gloves and we went down there and we said, all right, who wants to fight each other? And it was one of those things which stupid as hell.
In
but,
college?
yeah, in college. But it was so totally necessary. It was the first time I feel like I had been hit. Like when you get hit and the white flash and then the
That's
buzzing.
called a concussion.
Well, luckily.
You see stars, you
Yeah,
grow
yeah.
up.
You start forgetting
That's
your
called
mother's
you
face.
should go to the doctor.
But like actually getting a hit was like, oh,
Yeah.
now I know how that feels. And you can then decide if you want more of it or less. And I decided I wanted less, and I wanted to learn how to throw fake punches. But I did get hit. I got hit and it split my lip down the middle. And then I remember I had to go to urgent care that like evening, or we did it like maybe like 6 or 7 times. And then you'd also see the one guy who was very confident, and then you put some gloves on him and he's going up against another guy who you wouldn't think is confident, and he looks like an idiot trying to fight. Like you ever see someone trying to fight, and
Yeah.
it's the point where you really split between like, is this person legit or not?
You got the guys that are always trying to prove something, even in like mixed martial arts. Like, actually, this is kind of funny. I'll tell a story of how I broke my nose, which I've broken it multiple times. I don't know if you noticed. It's very crooked. Most people notice.
Okay. All right.
Thank you for pretending like you
I don't know.
didn't.
I've never,
It's
no,
very crooked.
looks fine to me.
So the first time I broke my nose, I was actually wrestling Adam Pearce.
Okay.
And
Oh, wow.
so and we were doing some move, and I accidentally caught a headbutt to the nose, and it's like super crooked, bleeding. There's the guy backstage that like there was like a doctor backstage, and he was like, "Yeah, you should go to urgent care." And I had one more match to do that day, so I just like took cotton and shoved it up my nose so it wouldn't bleed during the match, and I went out and did the match really quick. That night, I go to urgent care. And the doctor gives me like a Tylenol, and he takes his hands and starts trying to pull it back into place. And it's like so painful.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just trying to pull my nose back straight. And he does this for about 10 minutes. And he did an okay job with it, right? And then I get a bill for like $4,000.
Yeah.
So about 8 months later, they say when you break your nose, it's easier to break again. I believe that now. So 8 months later, I'm sparring. I think I was either getting ready for a fight or I had just had a fight. And there's this guy, and I had a crew that I trained with, but there was a guy that wasn't really there often, or he was just like his first time or whatever. And he asked me before we go up, and he's like, "Can we go light? Can we go really light?" I'm like, "Yeah, no problem, man." Should have known better. So we're going super. I'm super light. I have nothing to prove when I'm sparring. I'm just trying to get better. And so I'm beating him. And then, at one point, I think he just got mad and he just lets one fly straight down the middle. Boom. Broke my nose right at the end of the round, too. So that's what actually really pissed me off, because I was like, I wanted another piece of him. But one of my teammates knocked him out in the next round. So, like, he learned his lesson.
Nice.
Literally knocked him out.
Yeah,
it was great. But so then I thought to myself, like, all right, I'll save myself the $4,000. And I just go in the bathroom myself, and I just started trying to pull it back into place. And it doesn't look good now, but it looked worse before that.
my
and
God.
so I got it somewhat, almost, like, not really, but best I could, which sucked. But
That does suck.
there have been people over the years that have been like, man, his nose. And so now you guys know
Now you know.
Wow.
where it came from.
You talked about your teammate knocking this guy out.
Yeah.
I'll just ask, you guys ever been knocked out? You guys ever just been out cold?
I haven't been out cold. The hardest I've been hit was that in those fight clubs in college. And I think I took 2 shots and it's stupid. It's stupid, and I don't necessarily recommend it. But I kind of was like, who cares? I had a vibe where I was like, who cares if I get hit? There's so many guys that were like out there that were like so afraid of getting hit in the face or whatever. And I remember I just put up my gloves and I just walked forward.
Good Lord.
I just walked forward. None of us are trained to fight. We're a bunch of young idiots, 18-year-old idiots doing this. And I remember thinking like, it's fine. And so I just put up my gloves, walked forward, and got hit like once really big and just kept moving forward. And then I wailed, like, he like peppered me, and then I wailed him really hard.
Forrest Griffin over here.
Yeah, basically, I just took it, and then I just wailed him. And then and then he spun around, and then I did the same thing again. And then I took a couple more shots and then wailed him again. And then we were both like, all right, like, that's plenty for now.
You know what makes me mad about this story, by the way, Eric?
My nose.
So yeah, it's like, okay, when I fought, I was very technical, rarely got hit, a very good defense, and my wrestling style, very safe, yada, yada, yada. And I've got scars and crooked nose and freaking my face is all wrecked. And this guy's got a perfect face, no scars, nothing crooked.
Yep. I have a tiny scar underneath my chin.
And he's like, I fought like this. Yeah, just hit me. Like,
I think it was, but it was like, I mean, to your thing about getting knocked out, I was like, oh, that's what it feels like to get hit. Now I know. Don't like that. Yeah. I don't want this ever again. So then when I ultimately picked another combat sport several decades later, it was where I throw fake punches.
Yeah.
Did you see the video of John Cena?
Literally was thinking that actually.
Okay. Yeah.
He was doing the what is that thing called?
It's
like a punching power.
Power punching test.
Yeah,
thing.
He doesn't hit it all. He's like, I haven't hit anybody for real in 25 years or whatever. I'm like, that's clever. That's good.
Yeah,
funny.
They're good looking punches too.
They were
good looking punches.
Not bad.
Have you been knocked out cold?
Knock on wood, I have not.
Nice.
Thank goodness.
Wow.
I've definitely seen some friends get knocked out.
Well,
several times over the
stick
years.
around for this whole podcast, because at the end of this episode, we're gonna throw a punch. We're each just gonna put our hands behind our back. We're gonna throw a punch to see if we can both. Eric, you're gonna have to slam your head on the desk or something.
You got it, no problem. Sky already said that you're too pretty, so he's gonna mess that face up a little bit.
No,
shouldn't be much of a problem.
Pain.
You said that you'd seen friends knocked out, and you're talking about wrestling. Scrap Iron Adam Pearce, who I hadn't thought about in a minute. I'd seen that guy wrestle all through there for like Southern California for like such a long time. What happens? And James is in the ring now too, so maybe this is good advice for James and everything. You're in the ring, say it's tag match, whatever. Somebody just gets knocked loopy. What do you do? Like, what's the plan? Throw it all out, call it on the fly, take it home? Like, what do you do when something goes wrong that way? And now you just have to like deal with it.
Well, they're a lot more careful these days, especially when it comes to like concussion protocol. I can speak for that from AEW. We have Chris Nowinski come every year, and he speaks to us. And for anyone that doesn't know, he used to be a pro wrestler. He stopped, I believe, because he had a certain amount of concussions, and now he's one of the leading guys that kind of goes around and speaks about CTE. And so he comes and he speaks every year, and so he actually, his presence and speaking with our doctors have changed a lot of the protocols now. Where in the old days, you get hurt. I mean, even as recent as a few years ago, you get hurt, you just finish your match if you can, right? Unless you're out.
Yeah.
If you can still get through it, you get through it. But nowadays, they'll stop a match. They will just stop it, especially if there's anything with the neck or the head. But I've had plenty of situations where I got hurt, or a guy I was wrestling got hurt. When Sammy and I had a ladder match a few years ago on live TV, he tried some crazy move that we all tried to talk him out of doing. And he got knocked pretty loopy. But I don't even know if he like really sold it to anyone. Obviously, everyone was just like, is this okay? You know, like, but he was, you know, he's like, yeah, I'm good. But I knew he was messed up, and we had other things that we had to do, and I knew he needed time. Like, I knew he needed time. So, but when, again, you're live on TV, what do? You can't just stop.
Yeah.
I mean, you can, but like, you don't want to. So you just have to work through it. You have to figure it out. And what the thing I did in that situation was, we were doing a ladder match. So I told the referee to tell Sammy's girlfriend, now wife, Ty Conti. I told him, tell Ty to come scratch my back. And so I started climbing the ladder, and she rolled in and like scratched my back, and like, boo, you know, like that bought him 60 seconds.
Yeah.
You know, and then I sell that and then get back to him and like, hey man, you all right? He's like, yeah, I'm good. We'll keep going. And so you just have to kind of like, if you do continue, you have to figure out ways to make adjustments. There's sometimes you have to cut things or change things, which, you know, we had to do just to get through it. And the most important thing is just making sure that the guy you're wrestling, or yourself, whoever is the injured party, gets through it safely without, you know, furthering that injury.
Yeah. I've never had stakes like those stakes, like live television or any like big stakes thing like that. And I'm lucky that the environment that I wrestle in is very much listen, we do this because it's fun.
Yeah.
We do this because it's fun. We appreciate the audience for coming out and supporting us, but ain't nothing worth someone getting hurt, right?
Nah.
Like that's like totally the thing. But even in my like small match experience, you know, there have been times I had a most recent match, and I was wrestling this woman, Nina, and she's much smaller than me, and kind of the match setup was, I've got like 100 pounds on her. What is she supposed to do? Like, if I get my hands on her, she's going to get slammed.
Yeah.
And that was the whole thing. My whole heat was just slamming her ass to the ground, and then she kicks out at 2, right? Like, what's she supposed to do? But one of my moves that I do is like kind of an emerald flosion, right? So like, it's like a sit out power slam, almost, the way I do it. And
I was like, Emerald Flosion. That sounds cool as hell. Also sounds like a strain.
It's a great move. And the proper way it's done is more of like a driver almost, like the Dreamer driver. But I tend to get into it from like a satellite. So for non-wrestling lingo, satellite is like a high-flying move where the person basically spins, one person braces and then the other person spins their legs up and then spins around your head, and a lot of times it goes into a DDT or something afterwards. But I try and get into it from countering that. So a high flyer will do this thing. I'll stop them, bring them back up onto my shoulder, and then slam them.
Oh, okay, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, that's cool. That's super cool.
And so wrestling this, you know, much smaller woman, the plan was she's going to do a satellite. I'm going to block it. I'm going to slam her ass really hard to the ground. But in the process, it was so hot. And in the process, I don't even know how it happened, but her arm weaved around my neck like an anaconda, right? In the process of going around and her bracing on me and me bracing on her arm got stuck underneath herself around my neck. And so I'm fine, but in the moment I'm going, I'm supposed to flip her. If I do this, her shoulder is popping out of the socket. And so I'm like, but this is like my big move. But but in that moment you go, ain't worth any of that. Right? Like, so if you watch the match, it looks like just kind of a weak power slam because I don't sit out because I'm like, well, we have to stay together. I have to get her to the ground and then we can unwind or something like that. So it feels like it's just this weak power slam that happens. But in the moment, and I think that's part of being a good wrestler, is going like, this is not worth it.
It's not worth it.
It's not worth it to potentially like break a shoulder or even strain an arm or something like that.
You can always do something else. You know? I'm at a point in my career, and I've been this way for years, because there are plenty of cool things I can still do that I absolutely do not do. Because I'm at this point where, especially when it comes to television, if I can't do something perfectly 10 times out of 10, not 9, 10, it's just not worth it to me. I would rather not take the chance of hurting someone, hurting myself, or looking stupid.
Yeah.
It's like it's just there's no move that's worth one of those outcomes, in my opinion. I would rather just do something else that I know I can do perfectly. So I might be a little bit more basic some nights. Obviously you ratchet things up or down, whatever it is. But like if I'm doing something, I know I can do it 11 times out of 10 with no issues. That's what's most important, I think you got to. The biggest thing is making sure that the person you're wrestling gets back home the way they came.
Yeah. And then you take them to the back and you just dress them down. You blew my spot. You made me look like a fool out there. You're never gonna work here again.
You got me, brother. You got me.
Yell until that's it. I think you're the veteran. James.
There was a match once where like there was like a spot. I don't remember what this is, like ROH. I always laugh so hard at this. Just watching it happen, there was like something, we were doing this big 8-man or something, and like this wrestler Flip Gordon, like I think he had forgotten something, and like Nick Jackson from the Young Bucks, he did like a drop kick or something, and there was nothing there or whatever. And then at one point Nick rolls over, he's on the apron, he's like, "Oh damn it, Flip, you made me look like a dumbass." he's just screaming at him in the match. He's just like, "Damn it, Flip, you made me look like a dumbass." So funny. I'm like laughing in the match, dude. I'm just like, this is the best.
That's incredible.
Oh my God. Making each other laugh during matches.
Oh yeah.
Are you there yet?
Screwing each other? No, I don't think so. I don't think I'm there yet. I'm too focused on doing it well. I am building a lot of confidence. Like I feel like I'm over that thing because I don't know if we talked about this already, but for the longest time, my mentality was like, okay, well, if my last match was like 12, that my next match needs to be 13, like minutes, right? Or if I did this move this last time, I can't do it again. And now I'm over that.
Yeah, good,
I'm like,
good.
I got my repertoire,
greatest hits.
I got my things that I do, and I don't have an audience that knows me well enough to expect those things.
Yep.
But it's so easy to communicate to the person that I'm wrestling that I want to do these things. When I'm thinking about how to build a match out, I'm like, okay, well, I know I do this and you do that. So it's so easy to find those points.
Even when the audience does expect it, that's fine. We call them greatest hits.
Oh yeah.
Like, do you ever, when John Cena goes into his shoulder tackle, duck, boom, like, are you ever just like, ugh?
Yeah.
You're like, no, this is his thing.
Yeah. It's his thing for sure.
Or when Sean hits the flying forearm and the kip up and, whatever, like I love that. And when the fans know your stuff, that's even better. And then it's when guys counter it, it just makes everything better when the people know.
Yeah.
But like, when you get to that point when you can make each other laugh, like I'll tell you, there was one point where we were on the road somewhere, and for some reason Frankie just kept talking about the movie Harlem Nights.
Okay,
have you seen Harlem Nights?
I haven't seen it in forever, but I am. Yeah.
So we did our show or whatever, and then we went back to the hotel that night, and like we'd been talking about it so much, Frankie bought it on his phone on YouTube.
Yeah.
And me, Frankie, and Chris circled around his cell phone and watched Harlem Nights. And I swear to you, for like 3 months after, every single match, Frankie, Chris, and I are quoting Harlem Nights to each other during our matches.
Great.
I mean, it's just like, and the movie's so funny, it's so ridiculous. Like you do that spot, like there's a point in the movie where somebody says something to Red Fox, and he's like, "Oh, you blind motherfucker!" And he's like, "I ain't gonna be too many more motherfuckers here." There's one, and so like one of the things we would do, like you do the clip of the match where like your baby face is taking the heat, and then the heel will run over and knock the other baby face off the apron. The baby face runs in the ring, so it'd be like me or CD or Frankie, like we would get knocked off the apron, we'd slide in, the referee would grab us, we'd be like, "I ain't gonna be too many more motherfuckers." And then you're just laying on the cameras. We did that for like an entire summer.
Wow.
Just quoting Harlem Nights.
That's incredible.
That's awesome. That's when you're doing it so much and you're doing it with the boys, and it's just like just popping each other. That's fun as hell.
Yeah.
That's fun as hell.
That's
also,
awesome.
I think Eddie Murphy won a Razzie for that movie.
A Razzie?
Yeah. For like worst screenplay or something.
Oh, it's a great movie though.
Well,
listen, it's
things. The
Halle
perception
Berry
of,
has a Razzie.
The perception of
has
things has changed a little bit. This is only bringing it up because we're talking about bad movies that are actually good movies. But I watched Spice World
Oh my goodness.
two nights
Is that
ago.
the Spice Girls movie?
Have you seen
Yeah.
this movie?
No.
It's incredible.
Is it good?
It's a big cartoon. It's just a big
it's
cartoon, isn't it? Like
It's a
wacky.
cartoon?
incredible. It's not an actual cartoon, but it's like a cartoon.
Spice World.
It is. It's because it was panned, like universally panned when it came out. And I was like, this is terrible. Nobody wants this. But I was watching it. Now I've seen it as an adult, and I was like, no, we were wrong about this movie. But I watched it 2 nights ago, and this movie is incredible. Like the confidence required to make this movie is you'll never see it in our modern age.
Did they get a Razzie?
I'm sure, man. I'm
The
sure they
Razzie-
must
the
have been
Razzie is a bad
nominated
thing,
at the
right?
time.
Yeah.
Yeah, Razzie is like
the
the reverse
Razzie
Oscars.
is like the anti-Oscar.
Yeah.
Do
It's
they
like
do they
the
give
worst of
Razzies
the
for
worst.
podcasts?
Yeah, and
I
baby,
think-
we're in the running.
I think just having a podcast gets you a Razzie. But
Spice World.
but
Let's go.
it's surreal. It doesn't really have a plot. And it just kind of sketches with the Spice Girls, and sometimes not even the sketches. Very British, and just an excuse to get them to like have music videos or like the greatest hits of Spice Girls songs
It's a
are all
musical.
in it. Kind of like, I mean, like in most musicals, it's like, oh, the music happens organically and like it's moving the plot forward, but not in this. This one's like, hey guys, we got to rush because if we don't leave right now, we're going to be late for the concert. And they're like, got it. We understand. And then it just plays like 2 in a Million or, or whatever. Like it just plays a song as they're just changing clothes and they're singing into microphones. Or they're like, hey guys, let's record a new song. And then they just grab microphones out of nowhere and then they just start singing a song. And they're like, our friend's pregnant. And then they're at the hospital and they have a baby. And then they go like, all right, let's sing one of our songs to this baby. It's not even really a musical despite having music in it. But I was watching it and I was like, these women played the characters of the Spice Girls.
Themselves.
Right? Like
Yeah.
Mel C, Mel B. She's like, I'm the sporty one. And like, or I'm posh, even though that's not really who they are. Like it's an extension of their personality.
They're playing their own characters.
They're playing their own characters, but then in the movie, they're playing a heightened version of those same characters.
So
right?
as performers, they're themselves with the volume turned up, and in
Yes.
the movie,
Yes.
the volume's like has a microphone to the speaker.
Yes, we have now wired itself back into itself. And then the movie is about them trying to figure out what a Spice Girls movie would be about. So we're
Holy
watching
crap,
a movie where they're talking about
Yeah.
what they think a Spice Girls movie should be. And it's happening in the movie. And so that's 2 layers deep meta. But then there's a post-credit scene where they're filming the movie we just saw
Oh my god.
in the character. So it's a 4-layer deep meta movie.
Hey, man.
It's awesome.
Sometimes you're so popular, you could sell anything.
It's
Yep.
But I mean, it's also kind of great. Like, as someone who loves movies and like it's an experimental film, they took the biggest pop group on the planet. That's the other thing too, is it's so that time period, it's 97. So they're singing this song that's about like hanging out, girl power and all this stuff. And you're like, this was the biggest song in the world at the time. Like everybody knew this song, but they took this huge group and they said, let's make a weird experimental meta film about making a meta film about a pop band where they play themselves as themselves.
Do you think there were any other pitches for movies for big songs in the late 90s, early 2000s? Like, was there a movie for Mambo Number 5?
Probably. We need to get back around to that. Remember, there's a whole period of time in the 90s where romantic comedies would just be names of songs we were familiar with.
That is true.
Yep.
One Fine Day. Like they're like, hey, what do we need? What's the premise of this movie? I don't know. Is there a song title that sounds romantic? That's what we're gonna do.
Favorite
I'm
movie
ready.
band ever?
Favorite movie band.
Is it the Oneaters?
That's
The
a good. They are
Oneaters.
pretty good. They are pretty good. They only had one song though.
Yeah.
It was a good song.
It
though.
was a good song.
Yep. Well, I have the information here.
Oh,
Spice
Okay.
World, and this will take us out. Spice World nominated for 8 Razzie
Yeah.
Awards.
Had to have
holy
been.
cow.
Had to have
And
been.
it won one Razzie Award, 1999 winner for Worst Actress.
Oh,
For-
who could it possibly
Yeah,
be?
who could-
We are gonna have to. Is it? Did you just do like worst actress? And we gave it to all of them.
the worst actress is all of them.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah. Which
And,
is
they were
is BS, by the way, because when you think about the fact that they are women playing heightened versions of themselves in our reality who are now portraying stupider, more heightened versions of themselves in this movie. They should have won an Oscar.
And they were bad about it.
They were bad about it.
Are we doing 10 seconds this week? We didn't do it.
I think I just did it. I just did 5 minutes just like Spice World.
Minutes. My God. They were also nominated for Worst Screen Couple. What screen couple do you think that is, James?
Worst screen couple. I'm going to say probably Sporty and Scary.
Oh,
Mel B, Mel C.
Scary was married to Eddie Murphy, wasn't she?
Any combination of two characters, body parts, or fashion accessories in this film.
Holy cow, bro.
Yeah.
Wow.
But is that true?
Pretty
Was she married?
panned.
Was she married to Eddie Murphy, or was
they
that?
have, they have a kid together, right?
Yes, they do.
They do.
They do.
Oh, wow,
Think
okay.
so.
Love Eddie Murphy.
And so they both won Razzies. That's so incredible.
They both. Wow. They do you think they have their Razzies on display together? Are they still together?
No.
I have no idea. I assume not.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't think so.
I don't want to spread misinformation.
Talk about it.
We're gonna get
Is that
into
a wrestling character? Misinformation.
Oh, that's a really
That's
good
pretty
one.
good. That's pretty good. Comes in and stirs the pot, and then all of a sudden there's a big feud. I love it.
Like the
I'm all about
backstage
it.
segment and catering. Did you hear what this person said about you?
Yeah.
Their finish.
Listen,
Their
I
finishers.
love those backstage segments. By the way, I know we're out of here soon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But those I miss those in wrestling.
Yep.
Like you remember the Attitude Era? It'd be like Rikishi. Like a guy would go into the bathroom and you hear a toilet flush.
Oh, yeah.
And like Rikishi would walk out and he'd be like, the guy he'd be like, oh God, who are you wrestling tonight? And Rikishi would be like, you. Smack his butt and walk out.
But the best thing is then it would fade to Jim Ross having to try and make sense of what just happened. A lot of tension there.
Jerry the King Lawler going, wow!
Yeah.
And that was the whole segment. Then it just rolled into a match. It's genius.
I miss
Looks
those.
like a lot of heat going into the Taka Michinoku versus Rikishi match.
Takamichinoku, yeah.
He'd have to sell it real big. Just want some guy take a
The
dump.
stink face.
Hey, a story can be anything, man. You just
love
get in
it.
the ring and you sell it. That's
love
all you
it.
got to do.
Wow. Well.
Oh boy, what an
I guess
episode.
this was the 90s episode.
Yeah, wow. Nobody saw that coming.
We started with Salute Your Shorts and we ended with Spice World. So we covered
And the Attitude
we covered
Era.
about 3 years.
Yep.
But no, thank you so much for joining us for another episode of the Creating Character Podcast. As always, if you enjoyed the show, give us a 5-star review. Tell some friends. We got more episodes on the way. We're trying to book some guests as well, which I'm really excited about.
California Dreams.
California Dream, the
Trying
whole
to get 'em.
cast,
Trying to
the
get the
whole
whole
cast of
cast.
California Dreams we're gonna have on the show. I don't know how we'll fit them in this room, but we'll make it work. But yeah, and then follow us on social, Instagram, YouTube, Creating Character Pod. Awesome clips, great tons from this episode.
Good luck
I'm sure.
finding clips for this episode.
Yeah.
It's gonna be. I just grabbed 45 seconds at a time of just whatever the fuck was said, and we'll just put that out.
People go, I like watching the clips, but it's hard without the context. We go, that's the context.
Yeah.
there's
You got
no
all the
context.
context you need. If you want to find more of me, just search James Willems, basically wherever you can. Just type it into any search window. Go to an in and out or any sort of digital screen menu where you can like search for your order. Type James Willems in there. I'll probably pop up. That's me. Sky, where can people find you? What fast food restaurant? If you could be on any fast food restaurant,
Probably
menus-
In-N-Out.
In-N-Out?
Maybe
Yeah.
Raising Cane's.
Oh, okay.
Or
Okay.
Tom's down the street. You know, I love
Yeah,
those mom and pop spots. They're always called like Tom's or Johnny's.
Yeah,
those
yeah.
are where it's at. Yeah,
Nice.
at Scorpio Sky.
Yep. And Eric?
You can just find me at Eric Bedour. I live in Austin, Texas, so unfortunately,
What?
I have
What's
to
that
be a
gonna be?
Whataburger.
Yeah,
which is-
Whataburger.
Yeah.
Whataburger, which is just like the worst of the worst. If you like Whataburger, get your head checked.
You got
What are doing?
HEB though.
We got
Yeah,
HEB.
you
So this
do have
guy, this guy knows HEB. Now that's a
HEB 's real
grocery
nice.
store.
I know HEB.
It's real nice.
That's what we're
I went
talking
to Austin maybe a couple months ago,
Yeah.
and I was disappointed in the price of pineapples. Because I would have thought that the pineapples were cheaper there, but it turns out they're the same price as Southern California. So
Yeah.
that was a pretty disappointing moment for me.
What is this show?
I don't
We're outta
know.
here.
This show's
Okay.
fantastic. We got us our 5 stars. Thank you so much.
Killer tofu.
Yeah.